Hi, it's Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and we have an exciting week for you. We are doing the psychology of success, and we're kicking off this week to celebrate our masterclass, Psychology of Success Masterclass, A Life Worth Living, and that's going to be free for everybody live here on YouTube, and it is starting on Tuesday, November 12th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come and learn about the psychology of success, and we're going to get into some overviews now, and then we're going to have a whole training come Tuesday evening. So I'm really excited to share that with you. So what is the psychology of success? Well, the brain is just another muscle. And so or another organ, I should say, and it is just trying to survive. And so we have certain parts of our brain that are acting and reacting in response to stress. And as we are seeking success, there will be stressors that naturally come up. And when we have these stressors, that's usually when we make emotional reactionary decisions or reactions. And that's when things start to kind of curtail. That's where we get the self-sabotaging, the self-defeating behaviors, the implicit devaluing, the comparisons, the external validation. All of those things come because of a little bit of doubt as soon as the stress comes in, like, do I take that big step? And success is all about taking the risks, taking the big steps, really believing in ourselves. And so what we're looking at is how the brain naturally will react and how it fires. So the neuroscience behind success. And so if you look at when stress comes in, we know that it's in the lizard brain, the monkey brain, it's in the medial cortex. And so what it's doing is it's pulling from implicit memory. And when the implicit memory kind of door opens up, it allows ourselves to open up to a bunch of other implicit memories that may have happened. So things that you can't recall, but known truths that you've built throughout your years, through experience. And so these are kind of random things that may come up that you didn't even know was kind of categorized in these high stress areas or these success areas. But that's where the doubt comes in. And whenever we've had any type of avoidance because of distress, then it's going to be programmed in the implicit memory, and it will come up. And what it will come up and say is do you really have the capacity to do this? Like, you backed out before, maybe you should back out now. And so that's what we're doing, is we're trying to ground, be in a present state so that we're not having all the negative bias, all the negative memories from the implicit memory coming in, but that we're building new neural pathways so that when success or stress comes up, that we're like, we got this. Like, this is a learning growth mindset. And so we do have 4 optimizers that are connected to our brain. And if we can build these optimized neural pathways, we can move away from the doubt and the avoidance and the distress that comes and keeps us from our goals. And instead, we can move towards doing one thing that emulates success every day. So the first optimizer is growth focused, right? So we're looking at growth. We're looking at opportunities for growth. We're looking at learning opportunities and that learning mindset. So we're not seeing things as success or failure. We're seeing things as opportunities to move forward or pivot. Opportunities to move forward or pivot. So we're not failing. We are either moving forward or learning that this is a good pivot point. Optimizer number 2 is resiliency programming. So resilience programming is really creating an automatic reaction of value and gratitude versus suffering and despair. So we know that, and we're going to talk about this in my new book that's going to come out end of November, early December. So go grab your copy. It is the second part of our success building. So part one of the workbook looked at what is our success, building a vision and a roadmap to success, and then all of the stressful things that lead us into reactionary decisions and how to make an action-oriented decision related to our values. Book two, part two of this workbook is emotional regulation. And so what we're doing is we're building resiliency. And one of the ways we're building resiliency is looking at that gratitude and suffering are on the same spectrum. Gratitude and suffering are on the same spectrum. Let that sink in. So on the river of life metaphor, you can't control the current, you can't control the weather, but you can control if you're in the boat or what bank you get off on. And many people will quickly react and paddle and just panic and paddle to the bank of suffering and despair. But when you are grounded, you can stand up in the boat, you can look at the entire situation, and you can say, what is my most valued pivot point right now? The clouds are looking a little rough. Is that like hurricane rough, or is that like a nice, every day at like 1 o'clock in Florida, it rains. We just know it. We accept it. Life is good. Our plants get water. It cools off for just a little bit too. And so is it that? Is it just a summer shower, or is it going to be something that is more torrential and we want to go and take shelter? And so when we can take a deep breath and really look at all of the data points and what is valid data points in front of us, then we can choose to go to the bank of value, strength building, and growth, or gratitude, and not just react in a place of suffering and despair. Optimizer number 3 is strategic thinking. So we're being critical in our decisions. We're gathering as many data points as we can. So another part with the optimizer number 1 in the growth mindset is the fact that we can look at finding and collecting data. So each one of us can come in, instead of a growth-focused identity, we can be a scientist. And so what we're trying to do is just look at the world with curiosity, not judgment. And instead, we're looking at what data can we bring and can we collect when we are out and experience things, when we are trying to occupy and be successful. So we're looking at things for data points. We're not saying that we are, again, success or failure. We're just saying, okay, so when I do this, then this happens. Right? And not a what if, when then situation, but I actually put myself out there, and when I did, this was the consequence. And it can be positive, negative, or neutral. And I'm just saying, are my experiences net positive, net neutral, net negative? If they're net positive or net neutral, then keep having experiences. There's nothing that is curtailing you. You're not having negative consequences because you put yourself out there in the world. So keep doing it. If you find that it is net negative, then you're saying, okay, I need to find a pivot point, right? My data comes in and says, this is not working. So I need to find one thing that I can do that is working. If I'm trying to lose weight, then I'm looking at, what am I doing? What are my data points for losing weight? Okay. What am I intaking? What is the food that I'm intaking? What is the intaking of the drinks that I have and the liquids that I have? What is my exercise? So what is my output? How many calories am I burning? Am I burning calories, or am I building muscle? And what's the difference? How much protein versus carbs versus fat am I taking in? So these are all data points that we do when we're on a weight loss journey. And the same thing for success. For success, we're saying, how much are we actually putting out there? Like, how clear is our vision, and how much are we living towards our values? And we're making decisions on that. And that can be a decision tree. If you love a good logic model, then go for a decision tree, right? So we present ourselves with something. We let life present to us. And we say, okay, does this fall along with my values? Well, my values are A, B, C, and D. Yes or no? No, then send it down the river. This doesn't serve me. Yes, it does. Okay, so it does serve me because it is in line with my values. Okay, so then what do? Well, we look at more data points, and so what am I going to do? Am I going to enjoy this experience or not? Yes or no? No, okay, does it help me grow? Yes or no, right? And so what we're trying to do is get to a place where we're engaging in new experiences, we're putting ourselves out there, we're engaging in the community, we're regulating our emotions so that we are logic action oriented, and we're able to be present and live within our values, which will allow success to present to us and not us necessarily chasing success. The fourth optimizer is the emotional mastery. So like I said, the brain is just another organ trying to survive. And we have this primitive brain, this little monkey brain, this lizard brain, whatever you want to call it, that is kind of calling the shots more than it's not. And so what we're trying to do is have mastery over our emotions. We're trying to understand what our stressors and our triggers are. And this next workbook, we're actually going to talk about universal constructs. So be prepared, subscribe, and listen, because it's a really exciting conversation. And basically what a universal construct is we're saying that there's about 5 thoughts that we all have, or 5 needs that we all have, and we all have them. We just have them at different times, and we act and react differently to them when they do come up. And when we get triggered, then that's us kind of saying that one of these needs is not met, or we don't feel like one of these needs is met. And therefore, we're being very reactionary because we feel as if kind of our core need is not there. And those core needs are connected to some real primal traumas. Like if we don't have these things, then back a billion years ago, we could have died. And that's why it's so crucial, and that's why it's so universal, is because we need these things. It is connected to a survival mindset. And so that's why it's so tricky, and why when the amygdala starts going off, that it's hard for us to stay connected. I have a lot of clients, when we start to get to these trigger places, will continue to try to complete sentences and say, no, I didn't say that. And I'm like, well, no, you didn't say that. And I didn't say that. You're hearing something. Right now we're in a trigger moment. We really want to take a deep breath. We want to reapproach the situation because you're not able to hear clearly what is happening. Your perception is being distorted. You're getting into a perceived reality. Another chapter in my new workbook. So it's really good stuff. And when we're in that perceived reality, we're just creating invalid data points, cognitive distortions, to continue to keep that perceived reality real. And that's where we get when we are emotionally dysregulated, and that will either cause anger outbursts or it will cause shutting down. Emotional dysregulation is both, and that's what people don't necessarily understand. Emotional dysregulation is having no emotion shown and having what we call too much emotion shown, right? A lot of emotion, a lot of emotional expression. So most people know, like, why are you so emotional? That end of the spectrum. But what they don't understand is people who don't have emotion are going through their own battle, because here you are in the amygdala because you're in a stress state. You need to have emotion because you're in an emotional brain. You're afraid to have emotion, probably because of implicit trauma. Somewhere in there's an implicit memory that says it's bad when you have an emotion. So you stay in the amygdala because you're in a stress state, and now you're compounding the stress and you're not able to express it. And that's a very unhappy, uncomfortable feeling to have. So when you can master your emotions, then you can really be on top of your game. You can get back into that prefrontal cortex, the executive functions. You can have leadership qualities that you're using to influence others, to understand social dynamics and relationships, and be able to make action-oriented decisions and stay out of this emotionally reactionary place. So that's what I have. Confident decisions come from being in a place in the prefrontal cortex, grounding when you have these emotional experiences, these triggers, being self-aware that these triggers are happening. It's okay. There's no shame in the game. We all have these experiences. So you can't be shaming yourself for having it. It's understanding that it's happening so that you can be aware, so we can accept, and then we can take action. That is my trajectory of change model for my coaching clients. Awareness, acceptance, and action. And so right now we're trying to build awareness. What are our triggers? What puts us in an emotionally reactionary state? This is a really great week, because last week we had a lot in America of where it was a lot of emotion. It's a lot of heightened emotion, and people feel like either America is either on the right track or we're about to be doomed and gloomed, and I told you and warned you, just wait and see what happens, right? And we are complete polar opposites. It is a really, really interesting time. But for people who like decision making and stress management and everything that I do, it is a perfect opportunity to see true dichotomies at play. And what do we say about dichotomies? It's anxious thinking. You should never be. That's a dichotomous statement. So let me reframe that. When we are in polar ends, then nothing good will happen as a result. And so it's important for us to remove the dichotomies in our lives and move to a balanced state. And when we do this, then we are building better relationships with ourselves, and we're building better relationships with others. We're able to be more honest and humble and genuine with ourselves, which makes us be honest, humble, and genuine with others. So we want to be able to transform to an opportunity for growth. Then what we do is we take just one little step forward. We find awareness so that we can accept and let go of the shame without judgment. And then we can be present and find that neutral cycle. And if you want to know some action steps, please reach out to me. Let me coach you and get you to a place of success and emotional mastery. I am Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. Thank you so much. Hi, it's Jennifer Evans. I hope you are liking my videos. If you do, please comment below. Let me know if you have any questions. If there's topics that you're just dying to know about, and why do I do this and why do they do that? I would love to answer them. I do come from a cognitive behavioral background, but as we see in some of my videos, I love object relations. I love attachment theory. I love Erickson and his psychosocial developmental theories. So I do pull from a lot of different places in order to kind of build out that our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, something triggers it, and there's always a consequence after it. And that is the beauty of life and why we have a lot more control over our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors than we give ourselves credit for. This is a huge passion of mine, a calling, if you will. And I am here to support you. I've written 2 books, and I've got, the goal is 3 a year. So I've got several that are coming out in different, on different topics. But what we have right now, and you can go click on the Amazon link in the video descriptions below, but we have Saying Goodbye to Bad Brain. This is going to go and teach you everything you need to know about your negative narrative. So if you feel like life is hard and it just feels like you don't understand people or you don't understand why somebody you love keeps making the dumbest mistakes and decisions, what is their problem? They have bad brain. Go read about it. Find some empathy. Find some grace, because that is just them recapitulating their past. And we do it for ourselves and other people do it to us. And so when we know what they're doing, it makes it feel a lot less annoying and a lot more like we have agency over those experiences. So saying goodbye to bad brain. I also just released, and I'm very excited, is Key Steps to Living a Happier and Healthier Life. This is a workbook that is going to help you define what your values are, what success is for you, and what your vision of success, and it is going to go through everything that stresses us out and makes us live in suffering and despair, allow that bad brain to get involved, and instead of living in the present. So this will go through all the main things: building work-life balance, being able to be good enough, finding radical acceptance, decision making, which who would have thought that that was something, but it really breaks everything down that prevents you from living a happier and healthier life, and then allowing you to challenge those thoughts so that you can. So these are the key skills. So in my practice, I take the ABC model from Albert Ellis, through CBT, and I kind of open it up to this kind of overarching trajectory. And so we have awareness, acceptance, action. So the 3 A's of my treatment support with others, whether that's coaching or in therapy, through my books, and I have success groups as well. So I've got a lot of supports, and I use the same model. And that is, we need to build awareness about kind of why we do the things we do. We accept it. We don't agree, but we accept, okay, this is kind of my trajectory. I can see how it all comes together. I see trending patterns. I see how I act the same way. Actually, I get frustrated, but yet I'm acting the same exact ways because it is predictable, because that's my brain. It's bad brain working. It's a really good book. And so then we have action. And so I teach you lots and lots of ways to understand what the brain is doing and how to counter, how to challenge, counter, and do opposite actions. And so we have lots and lots of ways. The Bad Brain book has tons of ways in which we do that. And then the workbook has ways to start reflecting. We have exercises, activities, and journal prompts. And this book will actually, Key Steps to Living a Happier and Healthier Life, will follow my success group. So it is a 6-month success group. We break it down into 9 weeks. This is part 1, is living a happier and healthier life. Then we're going to have, we also have a part 2 section and a part 3. So you can come in at each of those sections, and it will have a continuous flow. Part 2 is our emotional regulation. So we're really looking at the relationship we have with ourselves and how the bad brain comes in and makes us reactionary, and how to calm and be more action oriented. Part 3 is interpersonal skills. How do you relate with others? How do you make yourself available? The key to life is you can't control the outcomes. You got to put all those processes out there. How do you put yourself out in that process to help others and to let others help you? That is section 3. We do have a subscription program, so accountability is everything, and it is in my first part of this workbook. So you can sign up, go to my website, counselingwellnesssolutions.com. It is in the description, and check out all of these great programs that I have set up to help everybody live a happier and healthier life, no matter where your state of change. Thank you so much. Please like and share my videos. I would appreciate it. Thank you.